Welcome to Study Abroad Week, and welcome to this session, which is Service Learning through Study Abroad. We've got one participant here. We're happy to see you. Let's go ahead and do some introductions. My name is Martha McGivern. I'm the Director of Study Abroad. And joining me are some colleagues, Erica, Howard, and Claire. Could you each introduce yourselves a little bit?
Hi, I'm Erica Rideau. I work in the Study Abroad office. I'm a program manager. I work with our short-term faculty-led programming.
Hi, I'm Howard Rosing. I'm the Executive Director of the Stain Center, and we help support and coordinate programs that have a service learning component in study abroad.
And hello, I am Claire. I'm a study abroad peer advisor, and I completed the Merida Study Abroad program in winter 2020, and I also did first year abroad, if you have any questions about that.
Great. The objectives of our session today are the following. We want you to know that community engagement is a key feature of some DePaul study abroad programs. When we use that term community engagement, we are talking about all types of service. We're going to focus mostly on service learning, but we have some opportunities for meaningful community service without an academic component as well. We'd like you to understand how community engagement can enrich the academic and cultural experiences of study abroad. We'd like you to connect with a peer who's participated in service learning focused study abroad program. That's Claire. And then lastly, identify study abroad programs with community engagement opportunities.
Howard, could you talk to us about how community engagement enriches a study abroad program? Isn't it just enough to go abroad?
Great. So first of all, let me say that the way we think about service learning and community engagement within study abroad is through curriculum. So the Stain Center is working with faculty who direct study abroad programs to integrate community engagement into their curriculum using service learning as a teaching method. So just like we have service learning courses anywhere throughout DePaul, in courses that are on campus or now virtual or remote, we have those same kinds of courses that are taught with either a short-term travel component or a term-long program that integrate service learning as a teaching method through partnership building with communities wherever students are traveling to. So we're working with faculty to develop curriculum that aligns with the goals and interests of community partners that serve the interests of both faculty teaching, but also first and foremost, student learning and the achievement of the goals and objectives of whatever course or courses that they're in. So that is how we think of community engagement within study abroad, from a very academic sense to also the side of thinking about it in terms of building community partnerships and serving the interests of community groups.
That's great. Claire, can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the program in Merida, Mexico?
Sorry, I was muted. Love Zoom. So Merida is a very unique program because service learning is one of the most highlighted aspects of the program, and that is super unique for a term long. So every week we would travel to the south of Merida, the city, it's the capital of the Yucatan, and we would volunteer with children. So the organization we were part of was called Manos Unidos. And basically, it was just a community of mothers with their children who all came together. And the main focus of it was to allow students to have access to government provided computers as they wanted to. But the ages ranged from 5 to 12. So we had several younger students who were not yet in school or just in kindergarten or first grade. And so the computers were only a very small aspect of what we did. A lot of it was just hanging out with the students, just talking to them. Every week we had a theme that very loosely put, but it could have been the environment or health and safety, or taking care of your neighbor. And so we had a mini lesson at the beginning of each week with the kids, and again, completely in Spanish. So that was certainly interesting. Definitely got to work on my Spanish skills. And we all got really close to the community, and actually a hurricane just hit the Yucatan about a month and a half ago and destroyed a lot of their homes. And so my group got together and we raised around $500 to send down there, and they sent us back pictures, and we were able to buy some beds for some children who have never had beds before, who have only slept in hammocks or on the floor. So that was a really wonderful thing that we were able to do. And we all received pictures of the kids like sitting on their beds for the very first time, like children who have never even seen a mattress. It was just a super eye-opening, wonderful experience, and definitely the highlight of my study abroad. I think a lot of the time students kind of expect to be tourists or on like a 3-4 month long vacation when you study abroad. And that's just not how it is. And the service learning aspect in Merida really made us feel like we were part of the community. And it was really just a hand-in-hand helping with them. Like, I feel like I got so much more out of the experience than I gave to them. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is even considering adding study abroad or service learning to study abroad, to look at Merida or any programs that have service learning, because it really does just enrich your experience so much.
Thanks a lot, Claire. And one distinction I want to make has to do with the kind of the structure overall of some of the different types of programs that Study Abroad offers. So this Merida program is what we call a term-long program. So Claire was there for the entire winter quarter, taking all the classes there, living with a homestay family, living in many ways like a regular student. So we offer a number of programs that are like that, or versions of that in Study Abroad. And then we offer some programs that we call short-term programs. So those are programs where you take a class on campus or online in the regular quarter. So for example, in the fall quarter. And then you and all your classmates and your professors travel abroad during the break right after that. So for example, in the December break, and spend 1 to 3 weeks overseas doing really intensive activities, all packed into a shorter period of time. So that, and then sometimes you take a class when you get back to Chicago in the following quarter, and sometimes you don't. So that's generally for study abroad, but that really makes a difference when you're talking about community engagement. So in Claire's example, she was there for an entire quarter and had this kind of weekly ongoing match to community service that she did little by little throughout the full quarter. What we're going to talk next, I'm going to ask Howard to speak about how does this happen in short-term programs, because we do have some short-term programs that are offered during December or spring break or summer, where service learning is also the heart of this program. But the expression of that is very different in part because of the time and the model. So could you speak to that a bit, Howard?
Yes, definitely. Thanks. Let me just, before we move on from Merida, let me just also say that actually Merida can be full 2 terms for some students. Those who want to stick around and do a paid internship in the spring in Merida can do so and continue to take courses at with the local university there, and study Spanish and do an online course focused on non-governmental organizations in Mexico. So that's just something that you should also know about, because I think it's really important for students who really are deeply interested in studying abroad for an extended period of time. The short-term programs, which now at the moment we have two that we're currently supporting. One of them is in the Dominican Republic, which is in the photo. The other one is in Berlin. And there's others also that we're always thinking about and under development. But currently, these are the ones that have been going or are scheduled to go on a regular basis. I'll focus for a minute on the Dominican Republic, which is a program that we've been running since 2015. And it came out of a program that started actually in Kenya back in 2009 that focuses on geography and sustainable food systems, but with a strong service learning component in both of those fields. And essentially, what we've done is we build partnerships with different organizations across the Dominican Republic. And one partner in particular, which where we spend almost half the trip working, as you could see in the field here, up in the mountains, doing sort of two things back to back. On one hand, we're working with a local organic agriculture high school. That's actually a public high school that specializes in teaching organic agriculture. And they are really interested in learning how to develop GIS, Geographic Information Systems, to map farms. So in the fall, we teach an intro GIS course. My colleague teaches an intro GIS course where students learn how to use GPS devices, ArcGIS, open source GIS programs to use in creating maps. And students learn just enough that they're able to go and teach that to high school students at the Organic Agriculture High School. And then we're also teaching their teachers how to teach GIS so we can create a more sustainable approach to partnership with the high school. So this is in a town called Rio Limpio, up in the mountains on the border of Haiti, just a few miles from Haiti. And it's a really rich place with a long history of organic agriculture that students learn about. And as part of the second half of that week, students are engaged in actually doing organic farming and being taught by the teachers and students from the high school. So it's what we call a knowledge exchange between the high school and DePaul. And we like that as a sort of focus on reciprocity in our programming. And then there are a number of other smaller service learning projects that we engage in throughout the trip. But the focus is on intermixing geography and sustainable food systems wherever we go. We meet with high schoolers in different places that are involved in sort of projects. We go to St. Vincent de Paul Parish in Santo Domingo, the capital. We visit the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations to learn about sustainable food projects on the island. And lastly, we partner at the end on the coast in a beautiful space called Cabarete with an organization called the Mariposas DR Foundation, which actually works on teaching sustainability, including food sustainability, and other topics with girls, both Dominican and Haitian girls. It's a program specially defined to work and support opportunities for girls to progress into certain careers, especially from economically distressed households. So we're engaged with them for 2 or 3 days at the end of the trip. And then students get back and they work on projects summarizing both the geography and sustainable food systems work through a back-end course in the winter. So it's a great program, and I hope that you'll consider thinking about it for hopefully, if all goes well, the next year.
Great, thanks, Howard. So now we want to make sure, so we have, you have these examples of these programs that we talked about, but we want to make sure that you know how you can search for community engagement opportunities within Study Abroad to find out about these programs, other programs, future programs. So I'm going to just pause my share for 1 second here. Yes. Okay. So on search for DePaul programs, so we're on the Study Abroad website. It's studyabroad.depaul.edu. When you click on the left-hand bar, search for DePaul programs, you can scroll down here and you'll see you can sort by category. So there are term-long programs, short-term programs, first-year abroad programs, identities abroad programs, internship programs, and then community engagement programs. So if you click right here to view programs, you'll just see a list right here. Here are any of our programs. You'll see the ones that, some of the ones that we mentioned that incorporate opportunities for community engagement. You can click to the program page for any of these. For example, here is the program in Merida. And you will get a full description of the programs, academics, costs, scholarships, past student experiences where you can connect to alumni of the program and full information.